Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. There's a hurricane in my earthquake, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. The sky seems to be falling, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I hear him chat from the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We can't go out, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but man's
tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
This is like super unfortunate. I've been warning you guys that some of this shit was coming this way. And everyone is like, he's Chicken Little. He's talking about climate change. Can we just talk about sports and stuff? This guy always wants to talk about climate change and rain. And I've been warning you that this was coming because it keeps me up at night, Stugotz, that we work on the bay, man. We work, like, it keeps me up at night. What happens if you're self-employed and one of these 200-mile-an-hour storms comes through here and we got windows? They're lovely. And what happens to all this equipment? and what happens? And so what happens is no one can come into work today. And everyone is stuck in floods and cars are stuck all over the place. And in the first time in show history, we've got a show postponement due to rain, due to weather conditions. We can't do the show today. Where is everybody, Chris? Like, where? I'm on a Slack all night. We can't get in there. The car's going to get flooded. The highways are flooded. There's Jessica can't come in. Lucy can't come in.
I will say this. I don't know how Chris experienced it yesterday. That was the most dangerous drive I have ever taken. The drive home yesterday.
Brutal.
Oh, my God, man. I mean, I was driving in an ocean.
Do you know how disappointing it is to me to be self-employed in the middle of the Stanley Cup final and the middle of other sports, that we can't do the show today? That we don't have the ability on a day that everyone would want to talk about sports. This is the day that climate change comes and ruins the show. When Le Batard's been trying to ruin the show with climate change talk, we made Adam McKay crazy. We made him not funny. My friend is going nuts because he's talking to climate scientists every weekend who are telling everybody, do you know how much worse it is than we ever thought it would be?
And we have a dome. We're kind of like the Marlins having a rain delay on our opening day with a dome. Like, we're covered.
Chris, what are we going to do that nobody can get in here today to do the show with us?
Actually, Tony just got here. Tony,
He
get
did?
in here.
My man.
I'm stunned that Stugotz got.
ridiculous.
How did Stugotz get in here? Did he sleep in the clothes last night outside in the parking garage?
I did not. I left my house at 4 a.m.
It is hard to explain to people who are not in Florida what is happening in Florida, but I will tell you, having watched in the panic of the Weather Channel over the last couple of days, they're telling us on both coasts when they show the maps, it's like it's just all underwater, which is what it'll eventually be when the ocean gets here. Like, that's just coming from the sky. That's not the sky meeting with the ocean. That's just, it's raining more than it ever has. And we're like, who cares? It's just flooding in India. No, it's here. And there are tornadoes in the middle of the country, and we can't do a show today. How did you get in here, Tony?
Canoe.
I feel so bad. I really do, that Jessica and Lucy have uprooted their lives to live here when all my life this has been paradise, Stugotz.
Yeah.
It's been paradise. Living in this place has been delightful. And I've never been scared of storms. I slept through Hurricane Andrew.
Bona fides.
You did?
I slept through it.
So did I, Dan. I was 2.
It happened in Homestead, and I was in Pembroke Pines, and it was far enough away that 160-mile-an-hour winds, which seem quaint because our oceans are bathtubs now, and it's too hot, and no one can get into work. Jessica, we'll start with you. You're on Zoom. The show's postponed. I can't do it this way. This is no way to do a show.
Are we officially in a rain delay right now?
I postponed it already because, look, you saw the Slack that said safety first, right? Did you believe it? Meadowlark says safety first.
I didn't believe it, but as it turns out, a man just showed up to my apartment because we have sprung a leak officially. Last night, Lehman spent the entire afternoon bailing water off of our balcony. The drains in our garage started filling up with water and backing up. And this morning we have officially sprung a leak. The washer and the dryer are in the middle of the kitchen. There's something going on with the pipes, and I'm scared. I don't know what's going on.
Well, wait, but you're not even talking about your fear from last night, which is hearing the rain not stop and hearing, like, we've had hail and tornadoes here recently, but last night, the way that it was coming in.
I like the sound of rain, though.
No, but not this
not that
intensity.
rain.
No, Jessica, well, that's not even the bad rain. Wait till the winds get here. Like, that's not the bad stuff. Jessica, what happened last night with you and just because Valerie was trying to write some notes on a desk, and she's like, this desk is all wet because these windows are not equipped to keep this amount of rain out.
The worst part about last night was that Lehman feels justified now in owning like 7 different fishing buckets because we've just been filling them up with rainwater, and I have been trying to get rid of buckets for years. We have so many goddamn buckets because he loves to catch fish so much, and now they're all filled with rainwater, and I can't get rid of any of them.
Oh, no, it's not. But
Welcome to Florida.
He's good about cleaning those up because fish buckets and bait and stuff in this humidity, that can be a bad deal even if they're really clean.
I'm sick of the buckets, but we're probably going to end up buying more buckets now. I hate it here, Dan.
Okay. Oh, that's not great. That's not a great situation. It was paradise. We sold her on paradise. We told her it was going to be beautiful here and her career would thrive in the warmth. And instead, we're just now headed into hurricane season. This is just rain.
It's so bad. I lost 2 fingernails last night. Wait, other hand. I lost 2 fingernails last night.
Your hand's shaking from the nerves. You're being pelted. Your home is being pelted. Yes, your coffee
Dan,
as well.
Panther Coffee was closed. Panther Coffee is closed.
That
It
place
is
is
a state
never
of
closed.
emergency.
Yeah.
The last 3 days, Lucy, I want to bring you in here because she is not Stugotz. She is not at work either. It's
Right.
just Tony and Chris. I told them last night, it's got to be safety first. We can't do a show under these conditions.
Roy is efforting to get here. I don't know where he's at.
Is he really?
Is he?
Got a text that he's on his way. So.
All right, so
Wow.
just forgive,
on a boat, maybe? I don't know.
Please forgive me because I don't know how all the decisions
Float.
get made at Meadowlark Media. Lucy was working optional today. Did the floods, were you told to stay home? Could you not get in here?
We had the option to stay home or come into work, whatever we felt comfortable with. Yesterday, driving home from work, I live about 3 miles from the office, took me 45 minutes to get home, and I cried 3 separate times. I was so scared because, and that's not like, how, we know I cry a lot, but they were real scary tears. Like, oh no, I really don't want to die on Biscayne Boulevard. Like that's the last place I want to die. The water, like by the time I got to my car in the parking garage, which by the way, Chris and I had a nice moment yesterday. I felt like we bonded.
Yeah, we did.
Because he didn't bring an umbrella and we had to share mine. And I thought it was really nice. And then everything went downhill.
I'm going to be honest with you, Lucy. I saw you walking to the elevator with an umbrella, and I sprinted to catch up with you. I was like, I see that umbrella, and I'm going to try to get under that thing.
So you were sprinting to the umbrella, not to Lucy.
Well, no, I wouldn't. I mean,
let's be honest.
I was, yes.
Okay, good.
All right, good
That's okay.
contributions.
I don't blame you.
Lucy, can you just help me understand the level of fear that you had yesterday? Because you're used to tornadoes. You're used to bad weather.
I'm like pretty good. Like if I know there's going to be bad weather, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I have to drive. In tornadoes, it's like, they're very terrifying, but it's a very small path of land that usually gets like really destroyed. And so tornadoes, I usually go stand on my porch and I put my arms up like Superman, like I'm a dad. And I just look and I watch the tornado come and then I know, okay, too close, go inside. So I have a good routine for tornadoes. I've never really dealt with like flooding like this before. And so it was probably 5 minutes into my drive where the water was like slowly creeping up. And there was a point where it was like near the top of my tires. And I drive like a sedan. So like it wasn't crazy. I wasn't driving like a Ford F-150 and it was up to my tires. But it was so scary because I didn't know how to drive in it. And everyone was turning around. And I said, I can't turn around.
Lucy,
I don't want to go back to the office.
Lucy, I need to explain to everyone here. Everyone needs to know this. No one knows how to drive in it because it's unprecedented weather. Like, this is the new normal. No one's going to teach you how to drive in that. And here's what I will tell you, Lucy, because I've seen the video. And this is the part that's frustrated me about climate change over the last 3 years, Stugotz. When it happens far away from you, when it happens to poor brown people somewhere in another country that doesn't speak English, and you see this apocalyptic flooding that's just taking out infrastructure, you don't feel it the same way as when your car gets stuck because you didn't know I-95 could flood.
Then you feel it.
Well, but this is the thing. You see video everywhere. Right now, all over the country, people are seeing video everywhere of what the hell's going on in South Florida and Pensacola, where all those cars are stuck. And you might not feel it until it's your car there, and you got to go 3 days later, and some fish is in it, and a watermelon, and Scott Hansen is yelling at people because your car and life have been turned over because you got one car, and now it's in the middle of what feels like the ocean. But no, the ocean's coming. This is the skies. This is just the skies belching out more diarrhea than it's ever been in human history.
Truly, Dan, thanks for making me move here. Really, I'm super happy it worked out that way. Thank you.
I don't know. They told me never to do it in Miami, Stugotz. Everyone warned me. They said, don't do it in Miami.
I'm glad you listened.
But it's because of the help.
Right.
It's because you can't get people to not live in New York and Los Angeles and do this.
That email last night where we were kind of like, all right, so we're working tomorrow, but you don't have to. Was kind of like when my wife tells me that I don't have to go to Sunday dinner at her parents' house, but I know that if I don't, I'm going to get in trouble.
Okay, so
You're going to be judged.
No, but here's the thing.
Right.
So let me explain to people the pressures of self-employment, okay? Because when I tell you it does keep me up at night, that all of this wonderful studio is right on the bay. And Biscayne Bay is always flooding. Like, I'm waiting for the day that I have to come in Valerie's Jeep and circle back around because I didn't think of helicopters. And so when you're self-employed like this and you see these storms coming and you're on every weekend with climate scientists who are telling you, screaming, nobody knows how bad this is. How is it that the government and the newspapers and the television and the media aren't doing a better job of telling everybody that South Florida is going to be under the ocean faster than you think? It's not 2050. It's happening right now.
You're doing that every weekend. It's a terrible way to spend a weekend.
Awful.
It is.
Why
do you think I've been crazy for 3 years?
Take a break.
That's just why.
Hey, watch a game. Take a gummy. Do anything.
I tried Ray's baseball for an entire season of medicine. But so I come in last night, and our executives are genuinely concerned about, well, we can't make anybody cut. Like, it has to be safety first. It has to be, we've got an emergency flash flood situation. But DraftKings is like tapping a watch. Hey, we need more hours of content than anyone else does, and fast. Breathing on our neck, gambling giant. Like, yes, but we need to feed the machine. What do you think we built those studios for you for? Like, you got to get in there because it's a big sports time. So it's just unfortunate that today's show has been canceled and we can't talk about all the wonderful things that happened for Boston sports last night in what was probably one of the best nights in Boston sports history, with Tom Brady being inducted into the Hall of Fame and the Celtics going up 3-0. But it's unfortunate that we can't talk about that today because it's the first ever show postponement because employees first, health first.
Was it postponed? Was it delayed? Was it canceled? I'm not certain. Like, what are we doing here? Canceled?
We are talking right now.
Right, we are. Right, technically we are.
No, but it's a
talking into
postponed show. We
right.
can't talk about sports, weather delay,
okay,
because we've got to
it.
talk about everything that's happening in South Florida. The show is too self-involved. It's narcissistic. It navel gazes. No one can get in today because everyone's scared.
So are we going to do a doubleheader?
Free baseball.
A double header? Like two
Yeah.
shows?
Yeah. So it's postponed. We got to do a doubleheader.
Maybe we can do that.
That's too far.
I like the wordplay, but shut up.
So I had an option to come in today. I mean,
you did have an option. Man. What do you mean?
I didn't read the email.
Because you're not in the Slack. It was optional for everybody, and you guys are saying you felt pressure to come in today, but
It's a pressure on myself. Like, the email was perfectly, you don't have to be here, family first, safety first, but I was just like, damn it.
Dad, the great ones tell the weather, not today. And that's what we did here in the studio. We told the weather, not today.
I am surprised that Chris and Roy were able to make it in from Broward. I will explain to people, Stugotz, because I am actually following this stuff closely enough that it is very bad for my mental health.
I made it from Palm Beach.
All three of you made it from Broward. And yesterday when he left the show, because of what Lucy and Jessica were driving in, Chris was the first executive to alert anybody, hey, we've got a real weather problem approaching because Florida has been under 3 days of flash flood alerts. It's all over Florida. It's worse in Sarasota than it is here because it's the kind of rain that is not precedented. It's you get in one day way too much rain, and what ends up happening is everything floods, even things that I've never before seen flood. Even places in South Florida where I'm like, that flooded too easily. Wait till king tide gets here, and God forbid we're already flooded and in king tide, and then a hurricane comes. Like, we're in the middle of it, right? We're broadcasting from this, and the part that I can't get my head around, Stugotz, is we're totally helpless. Like, so what good does it do to talk about it again and again and complain that the media is not covering it correctly and complain that all our leaders are bought? As incidentally, by the way, young people are more active here than anybody because of how mad they are at their parents and grandparents for using up the entire earth. So there are a whole bunch of helpless young people out there who actually want to do something, but they don't want to be in these climate change science meetings I'm in on the weekend that are ruining my weekends. Who wants to be in on those where you can just hear scientists scream like, why does no one know what's coming? How do we get peacefully arrested?
Every weekend?
Not every weekend.
Bi-weekly, can we make it?
Too much. Too much, Stugotz. Like, really? Do you need an exact number on this?
Yeah, I do. I'm concerned about you.
I'm trying to help.
How?
By being on a conference call?
I don't want to be disrespectful, but in all
something.
honesty, what are you doing in those meetings?
I am finding ways to make noises. And how do we get peacefully arrested somewhere?
Do you talk on these
No,
meetings?
he takes
or do
the
other
message
people?
and he brings them to the masses.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I look and I'm like, hey, Valerie, look, it's Kendall Roy in the Zoom.
Oh, at least it's a Zoom meeting. I have this at a
Hey, is
sad.
that Mark Ruffalo?
This on Zoom is less sad than I had it. I had it at like a convention hall where you guys just meet every week.
Honestly, no, all I'm doing is a Zoom call in my kitchen, and it really is, hey, Valerie, look, John Hamm.
Okay, it's a who's who. That's why. Okay, now I get it.
It's a bunch of people getting together with climate scientists. They yell and scream, can you guys do anything?
I want in.
Yeah, it's and it's deeply depressing. And it's why today's show is canceled. Unfortunately, because it would have been a good day to talk sports. I think we had Dan Hurley booked.
Oh.
Should we do that?
Let's try to do that.
It's a get.
We should, yeah. It's a get.
Ask him about weather. I'm sure his first interview.
That we should do that.
We should.
We
Matt
should
Sullivan
just
would
about
kill
weather.
us.
We
Yes.
should do 15 minutes with Dan Hurley on
weather.
climate change.
We can't, but I want to.
I think we can.
Oh, God.
I think we can.
It's his first interview.
I know. I know, but that's what we used to be. We used to be that.
How about one question at the top and then like, all right, we're just
We
kidding.
used to be that. The thing that would ask Dan Hurley 12 minutes of climate change questions. We did. Billy did that stupid mass dancing show the day after the Super Bowl.
Oh, boy.
I think we have a video clip of Billy walking in the rain yesterday after work in like a full wetsuit. Do you guys have that video we can throw
Really?
up there for people? Yeah, look, there's Billy right there. He's in the yellow right there, running across in like a full,
Like the Gordon's fisherman.
Oh,
like a full fisherman's
You
outfit.
know what? Can you guys do me a favor? Can you guys get Billy in the Zoom real quick? Because he couldn't get in today. I just want to talk to him because he discovered that outfit because he's a hoarder. He didn't know it was in his car. He throws his car is a closet.
Yep.
And he throws so much shit in there that he fished around and he found something that prepared him for that kind of storm, even though I don't think any of us are prepared for that storm. Do any of you even own clothing like that?
No.
But yesterday it all paid off for Billy. The hoarding all paid off. That's why he does it, Dan. I mean, in the event of an emergency, and he had one yesterday and he was prepared.
I had a tiny umbrella, not like the one you have, Dan. It was kind of like maybe like a pizza pie umbrella, so it's very small. So I wore a trash bag out. That was
Really?
kind of my my protection.
You came in with a trash bag, didn't you? I saw a wet trash bag. Like, did you discard it?
Discarded
you came
it,
in,
yeah.
I got it. Honestly, Tony, you've never looked more like Superman. Like, you looked like a superhero coming in here trying to save the show and do a sports show today. Unfortunately, it's been canceled, which is
I mean, good, because I had
too
a lot of
bad.
takes on Luca, Dan.
Nope, not right now.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
That we're not going to be able to get to that today because
We
that
do have
would
a
have been.
mean in 5 minutes.
Tigers -1. I mean,
Yeah, I know you want to talk sports.
-1.
And it's just unfortunate that there are no sports to talk about today and that it's the first postponement in show history. We have never had that happen before. And by the way, I think we got to get used to it. Like, because this is the new normal, right? This is just a day in June. Hurricane season has started, but none of the storms have actually gotten here. I've been talking, honestly, Stugotz, I'm not joking when I say this. I've been talking with people about preparing for apocalypse situations because where I live, we will be evacuated. It's not a place where I can stay if one of these storms comes here.
No, you should get out. Are those separate meetings, those conversations? I mean,
From the climate change
yes,
people? Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I come out of the climate change meeting and then I immediately go to Meadowlark and I'm like, you guys have to create a scenario where this breathing gambling monster that wants the 70 hours of content a day can make sure that I can broadcast from somewhere other than lost at sea.
You got to get these meetings back to back. Just get them all over with. One
Right.
chunk of the week.
Why do you think I'm not sleeping? Had you guys thought about that?
are you going to move? Like, seriously, I'm concerned about you. You live right on the ocean, man.
Stugotz, you can't move in South Florida. We're building straight up. If there's a storm here, it's just going to be cranes hitting each other. There's no place to live that's affordable. Everything's being built straight up.
Man, I'm just trying to get you up to Broward County, a little closer to me. That's all I'm trying to do. It's safe up there.
You want to go to lunch with them? You guys going to have nice lunches?
I don't live on the water. I'm surrounded by land. I mean, yeah, it floods, but you know what? It's safer. I mean, nice studios up there.
Do you guys think, I asked this question sincerely because, I'm looking at video and one day Vegas's downtown floods and the hotels are flooded. And I'm like, okay, that's the desert. How does that happen? And so I imagine the inconvenience of that, because flooding, it kills a lot of people. It's dangerous. People were sent home yesterday, flash floods. It's dangerous for life, obviously. But there are places flooding all over America and the world that didn't used to flood because of the amount of rain coming. And I am just genuinely curious, because when it affects you, it gets more personal. The amount of cars stuck on our roadways yesterday made me feel deeply for the people who have those cars and might not be able to get to work today, and is just the beginning of whatever the hell is coming this way on both coasts. You guys thought or think what when you see that there's flooding in strange places that aren't connected to you?
We're all going to die.
I have top 5 athletes that connote weather.
Oh, please. It's too bad we're canceled today and we're not doing a show.
So
but
I shouldn't do
no,
this?
well, we would have done this if we had been doing a show today. Top 5. That would have, how great would that have been?
Right. Ryan Weathers.
Is this OLI?
Yes. JT Snow. Tiki Barber and Ron Dane. Thunder and Lightning. Kurt Flood. Storm Davis. Sonny Gray. Kerry Von Erich. The Texas Tornado.
You have a list better than that, huh?
That's all OLI.
Yeah. Dan Marley.
Wow.
Thunder Dan. Number 5, Tim Raines. Number 4, Ray McLeod. Number 3, Hale Irwin. I was proud of that one. Number 2, Brian Windhorst. Windy. And number 1, Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh, wow.
It's too bad we didn't have a show to do that today.
Yeah,
It would have
that's too
been
bad.
so good to have today.
Die. die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. The dolphin humped my father, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
During the break, Stugotz is trying, like the producer that he's always been at his core. You have to understand that the best Stugotz would be as program director and producer on how to make other people great. Stugotz has spent the entirety of the break trying to figure out, in the panic of the worst broadcasting situation, which is the baseball rain delay filler. When broadcasters get the filler, the rain has come in and like, you got to stretch, you just got to talk about stuff. Stugotz is working the phones during the break. Let's get some rain delay filler guests. Let's get Craig Minervini. Let's find just anyone.
Where's Niner?
We need to talk to somebody about how does a team prepare during a rain delay? How do you rest? And then the answer is I just eat Skittles in the clubhouse. And it's just the same show, but you got to do it for 90 minutes because you don't know when the third inning is going to restart.
When you're filling time and you filled enough time and you can't fill any more time, you will grab at anyone.
All right.
I mean,
we don't have to do the rain delay filler show yet because we've only gotten to canceled. We can't do today's show. Weather conditions. It's the first ever postponement in the history of our show. Amin was already in Dallas on Meadowlark Dollars. It's unfortunate that he will not be able to give us any of the coverage there from Dallas. But Amin does join us. What do you want to talk about?
Well, actually, Dan, I'm really excited because the show is canceled. We have a plethora of topics to talk about. And let's start with you opening an umbrella inside the studio. Now, on my podcast, Cinephobe, which you get wherever you get podcasts, we have this term called 20th Century B, or 20CB for short. And when you call something 20CB, it's things that were staples of the 20th century that somehow, after the year 2000, 2001, just withered away in popular culture. And one of them is, I remember in the 20th century, anytime any character on any TV show would open an umbrella inside a house, indoors, the worst luck would happen to this person for the rest of the episode. Just terrible luck, getting struck by lightning and, becoming bankrupt. All types of bad things would happen if you open an umbrella indoors. And you open an umbrella indoors in the last segment, and nobody even batted an eye. And I thought to myself, damn, 20 CB.
It's interesting that you would say that, though, because the bad stuff's already happened. Like I'm opening the umbrella. How much worse can it get that I'm spending my nights up at night talking to climate scientists about what do I do about our studios if a 200-mile-an-hour storm comes through?
Dan, you poor, sweet, innocent child. You think the worst has already happened? Come on, man. Hey, you're in the building, aren't you? The building is, for now, of sound stature, right? Like electricity is working.
Let me explain something. Let me explain something
water?
to you. Let me explain something to you, that you don't seem to understand. What I watched on my television yesterday, that was sports, was the worst thing happening. It cannot get worse than that. I open up an umbrella because how much worse are you going to make it after this? But it's too bad we can't talk about that today because the show's been postponed.
Kick, save, and a butte.
Yeah, we can't talk about that today.
Well, there are other bad things that are happening. I read in the New York Times today that the hair relaxer that black women use in their hair is actually causing cancer at an alarming rate, particularly uterine cancer. And it turns out these products have a lot of carcinogens in them. I think there are about over 1,000 banned substances in hair relaxers that are banned in Europe, but here are A-OK because we just don't seem to care about black women in this country. That's pretty bad too, Dan, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Can I send him to the penalty box while he's in Dallas and we're in the middle of a postponed
show?
Sports.
Yeah. I am concerned about all the recalls. There's a recall on candy now. There's a recall on cookie dough. I'm concerned about this. Like all the things we thought were healthy, I'm not certain they are healthy. It's going to turn out that cigarettes are the healthiest thing you can do.
You thought candy and cookie dough were healthy.
I thought you were going to let me get through that one there.
Billy has appeared in the Zoom. He couldn't get to work today either because of storm and flood. We have a video of him being prepared somehow now yesterday with clothes none of us actually have for the apocalypse. Billy, weather hero Billy joins us now. You weren't able to get in, Billy? Too much flooding, or what happened?
Well, no, we were supposed to be recording things for God Bless Football, and I had scheduled them for this day because this is normally my work from home day. So I spoke to my manager, and they said, okay, you handle that. And then the solution was Stugotz can come in. So now I'm in the exact same problem I had before.
So you were supposed to do something with Stugotz, and Stugotz came in, and he wasn't supposed to come in?
Correct, yes. Stugotz was not scheduled to be there today. We had days full of recordings lined up. So I got the okay to do that. And then Stugotz said, I'm going in today. And I said, well, that kind of nullifies all of the workarounds I had come up with to get that done.
I'm a hero.
So,
okay, so
yeah, I didn't know he was going in, so
okay.
now I have to reschedule some things.
As Tony said earlier, the great ones tell the weather. Not today. I mean,
well, he did say that he didn't know that he had the option of coming in and not coming in, and he said it was because he hadn't read the Slack. But that's not the reason. He wasn't supposed to be here today. So Stugotz, on the storm day when the show is canceled, Stugotz shows up.
He was not scheduled, no, to my knowledge.
Right. Billy was scheduled. He got out of it, and because we were supposed to do God Bless Football, he's right about all of this. And the replacement
after speaking to Stugotz, by the way, who said you got to get out of that. We have recordings during the day, and I said, okay, I'll talk to them. We'll see if we can make it work, and we made it work. And then he went in.
I didn't know the
replacement
plan for you.
Problem.
I didn't know the replacement plan for you was me, but
I didn't know we could still be in the weeds with all this flooding.
Yes, Chris. So I thought we were calling Billy because of his what he found in his car yesterday, but it turns out Billy's resentment shows right at the start because, of course, he should be mad. He planned a show, and Stugotz is here, and we're not doing a show today because we've been postponed. Billy, how did you find that stuff in your car? Do you know anybody else who has that stuff? You are somehow the most prepared person in South Florida for what it is that's presently happening.
Well, so yesterday I actually got caught off guard. The day before I strolled in with this, I knew that I had this raincoat set. So I have a jacket and I have overalls and then I have boots. I bought the boots years ago when we were at the Clevelander and we had to walk from 7th Street. And I've just left them in my trunk because the day that I wore them, I got this bad burn right on top of my shins because they're so long. I didn't know you had to have protection. So I walked three blocks with rubber on bare skin. So I got a nasty burn, and I said, I'm never wearing those again. So those have lived in my trunk for about 6 or 7 years. And then the raincoat and jumper set that I have here, I bought when I do this annual food drive. It was very rainy one year. So I went to Home Depot, and I bought about 6 sets. I bought for everyone in my family that was there. And I lucked out because I'm a hoarder. Sometimes things just stay in the right place. And this time, this set was in the right place, and it was in my car. So I walked in, I snuck in on Monday wearing the full set with the jacket and the pants and the rain boots. And I think only Chris Cody saw me. And I snuck right into the studio. I took it off. I got there early. It was fine. I let it dry in the corner. Then yesterday it wasn't raining when we got in, and I wasn't expecting the rain. But I said, just in case, I'll bring the jacket and the pants. But I left the boots in the car. And then there's very bad weather when we left. Lots of flooding. I had to go across the street to the car. So I went over there. And I didn't have my boots, so my shoes got all wet, and now I have the sniffles because my feetsies and my socks and my shoes were all wet. So I'm battling, but making do.
So, Billy, hold on a second, because that's the old Cuban myth of if you get caught out in the rain and you go back inside, you're going to get sick.
Oh,
so you're already
how'd you get that?
Oh, sorry.
That's video, Billy. That's
I didn't give consent
video.
to
You know
film
what?
that.
Okay, there we go. Billy, we're doing a show.
Yes.
And,
Okay.
and it's for an audio audience. And when you go and say, oh, surprise, because there's video on the screen that only you're reacting to.
That was a Greg Cody move.
It's
right
not
there.
helping the show. It's being Chris's
Oh.
dad. Tony, you were saying?
I was saying, it's just the funny of getting caught out in the rain and then equating that to sick is very 20 CB.
What does that mean?
20th century, you know what?
Yeah. Thank you, Mean.
It happened in the 20th century. We used to talk about it all the time. People would go outside in the rain.
I forgot he was there.
Got sick. Now,
I will say this. So I was concerned about that because obviously the streets were messed up. It took a lot longer to get home. So I drove well over an hour with wet shoes and wet socks. And I said, this is going to come back to bite me. So I drank some emergency when I got home. I didn't take a full shower, but what I did was I went and I sat at the edge of the tub and I washed my feet in warm water, and I went knees down with warm water because I thought, you know what? My whole body didn't get wet, but like knees down are wet. So maybe if I do the warm water, it counteracts the cold water. So I did that for like 10 minutes. I rubbed them, then I put on a towel, and then I put on socks immediately so that my feet wouldn't get wet because I figured my body doesn't know if I'm taking a full shower or half a shower. So I could trick my body by just doing knees down with warm water. But no, my body knew, and I'm still getting sick now. It didn't work out.
So wait, you did half a shower, but then later on that day, you did a full shower.
Yeah. I mean, I did more of a soak, I would say, than a shower because I didn't use soap. I didn't rub in soap. I thought that I could trick my body.
That's why. That's why your body wasn't tricked.
Because it was soap. That's what I was trying to figure out. If the warm water washes off the cold water and the cold water, whatever it is that makes you sick from the cold water, or if you need the soap to get that water off. I figured after like 3 or 4 minutes in the tub with the warm water cascading down my shins and down my feet that I'd be fine. But I guess I needed the soap to wash off the cold water residue.
It's also the scrubbing action. You need to scrub it off. That cold water just doesn't come right off. You've got to scrub it off because it really sets in, especially if it's particularly rainy. That's where the disease comes from. It comes from the residue that was not scrubbed off. It just clung to the surface of your skin.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mean, since you seem to know about this, because I was trying to figure out, is it the cold rainwater that is on my legs that does this, or is it the standing water that I had to walk through the puddles? Do the puddles have the sick germs and then they stick to you?
That's interesting. That's a great question, Billy. Actually, they're both one and the same. If you think about it, the standing water came from the rainwater.
Yeah.
But the rainwater coming down, probably, I would say 25, 30%, disease in it. But then when it comes and it stands, it all gets together. Think about all the other diseases and all the water. They're all coming together like at a convention. And they're like, hey, what's up, man? Well, I just got here. Okay, well, I've been here for like 5 minutes. It's actually pretty cool here. You want to go infect some people? Why not? And that's what happens.
So it's like a disease orgy.
I wouldn't call it an orgy. I would call it more of like a convention. They're there for work, Billy. They're not there for fun.
Guys, what happens when the AC gets brought into the mix, right? You've got the standing water, you've got the rainwater that's falling from the sky, but then the AC and all the cold air from that starts hitting you. Where does that play in the factor?
Well, I mean, look, AC. Now, you're just tempting fate right there, right? Because the AC actually makes it more comfortable and more willing for the disease to work, right? The disease does not want to be uncomfortable. It wants to be cool, just like us. And it's like, oh, thank you for blowing that AC in here. You know what? I feel extra productive right now. And that's when they really get to work infecting people.
I turned on the heater in my car, hoping that I could make it warmer to counteract again the cold water that was on my feet, but it didn't work out.
The heater? No, the heater doesn't work. Wait, once it's on you, Billy, like here's the deal. Oh my God, I can't believe I have to explain any of this. Once it's on you, now you got to scrub. Now you got to get in there with the soap and scrub it off. So turning on the heater after the fact is like putting a Band-Aid over like a gunshot wound. That's not going to work.
Did someone say heater?
Stugotz is in maximum production role. I haven't seen him this way in a while. This is what it would have been if he had been the program director at WFAN. Like when news breaks, you got Dan Hurley coming on a little bit, but also we need rain delay fillers. We don't have our normal crew of people. The video team, members of the video team heroically made it in, but this is a legitimate thing here in South Florida, even though right now, if you look outside, it's almost totally sunny.
Gorgeous.
Over the last 24 hours, what we've experienced here is genuine flooding inconvenience, and I'm not joking when I looked at a map on the Weather Channel and it just showed how much rain was about to fall. The bottom half of Florida was coast to coast underwater that made it look like there was just land under the entirety of the ocean.
Chris, I'm thinking about playing 18 today. You want to join me?
I think we can get 9 in.
It did dry up quickly. I thought I was going to get epic flooding on Biscayne Boulevard because I had it going out. Like I barely got onto the highway. There were cars stuck getting onto the highway. And so I'm like, surely if it rains all overnight, this is going to be hard to get to in the morning. I'm going to have to bring either a Jeep or a hovercraft in order to get in. But smooth sailing. Smooth sailing on the way
drainage.
in. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. We handled
Pretty good.
Yeah, we handled all of that pretty well under the circumstances, and now the hurricanes will come. Yes, Jessica.
We are monitoring a situation right now, Dan. According to the local weatherman, the forecast for today, quote, is the last thing we want to see. More rain and heavy storms again this afternoon. This is a model output, and the model output is showing heavy bands of rain all over South Florida. So you guys will want to probably wrap this show up and get home before the flash flooding continues, because right now, even a tiny modicum of rain is going to put Biscayne Boulevard back underwater. You don't want to be out there when that happens. Flash floods are very dangerous. Do not drive through the water, okay? The National Weather Service has been very adamant to get the message out. Don't drive through standing water. Even 6 inches of water can wash away a small car, and most vehicular deaths during rainstorms happen with people inside their cars getting stranded. So be careful out there, folks. Don't listen to Dan, is what I'm saying.
Stay home crew very concerned with the rain today.
Are those sharks?
She is right about everything that she is saying. I know that in South Florida we can be flippant about these things, and especially because, as I mentioned...
You think you can out-masculine the rain? I've been listening to this entire show. It's not true. You can't do that.
Not today.
You can't do that,
The great
Tony.
ones say not today.
Yeah, not
Hey, I'm here.
Yep.
I mean, they did.
We both just said not today.
They did somehow get here for today's canceled show, but everything she's saying is the correct thing to say. The reason there are weather emergencies is not just because the government of Florida is trying to make sure they can get all the money they can anytime they declare a state of emergency, though that is true. It's also because it's wildly dangerous out there, and flash flooding is you're just walking around. What's the big deal? And then you're dead. What's the big deal? I'm just driving along, and then your car is floating in a way that you can't get out of because you didn't buy one of those emergency things I did for every emergency situation.
The puncture thing?
That breaks your glass. Yes.
Jesus.
But somebody stole it the other day, so I don't even have it anymore.
No. You can use a seatbelt, though, Dan. Just get the seatbelt.
No. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. If you're trapped in your car in a sinking sea, can you just use your seatbelt to break the window the way Tony would, out-masculating the ocean? Jessica, I want to know sincerely how scared you were last night, because I am alarmed by the fact that for the first 50 years of my life, I have not been ever seriously scared of hurricanes, because it's always a warning. But to me, it doesn't land at my doorstep. I have to board the house. I have to do a number of different things, but I've never been met with anything other than occasional inconvenience from flooding. But the apocalypse is approaching now, and you heard it last night on the roof of your house.
It's here. I mean, I think, in all honesty, being earnest for a second, obviously the most important thing is keeping yourselves and your loved ones safe and healthy, and making sure you have all the necessary emergency things. You have like your hurricane kit ready. But also the loss of property is kind of terrifying. Like we were very concerned for our car last night, and that is the main reason why I didn't want to come in today. Because if you want to put in writing, Dan, that if my car, well, Lehman's car, gets destroyed on my drive home from work, you will replace it, then I will be there in 10 minutes. But I don't think that will happen. So that's why we are playing it safe today, because I don't want to lose my car. I saw cars stranded, abandoned all over the side of the road all night, all afternoon yesterday. Lucy saw it too. There was a wake on Biscayne Boulevard. There was a wake. There were waves cresting on the side of the street. So I don't want to destroy my car. But yeah, I mean, it's very scary. I'm also afraid for, when this happens again, but with 140 mile per hour winds probably later this summer.
Oh, you think it's just going to be 140 mile an hour winds, huh?
God, it's scary. There's also lightning. There were like thunderstorms, lightning. My dog doesn't want to poop. She's afraid to go out in the rain. By the way, this kind of reminds me of like the good old days when we were all just scared of COVID and we did Zoom shows, Dan, because we'd like get on at like 7:50, 8 in the morning. We'd all log on to Zoom and then we'd be in our little boxes and then we'd be done at noon and I'd go have a day. It was great. I'd go for a long walk. It was so nice to be working from home. I could bring my dog to work and no one would yell at me mean because I was home the whole time. Oh, those were the good old days.
Amin's still here. Amin is here. What's going on? I mean, we've got Dan Hurley in a little bit. Yeah, Billy. Where did Billy go? We've got Dan Hurley. I wanted to ask him what is the oldest thing in his car if he's had something in his car for 7 years.
He has no idea, Dan. I mean, Billy has so many things in that car. He has no idea what's the oldest
But what
thing.
is the strangest artifact we will find in there? If there's okay, put it on the poll, Juju at Le Batard Show. Do you have anything in your car that's been there for 7 years? Any trinket? I'm not talking about like the registration in the glove box or something or the manual. I'm talking about the way Billy does, where you have a hat that's in the trunk of your car for 7 years.
I have a loose heater that's sitting right below my seat. It's stuck right between the cushion and the edge, the glove box there. I can't get it. I've been trying to get it. I want to smoke it so badly, but I can't reach it. My fingers are too fat.
The old just-in-case heater.
Yeah.
If you're desperate enough, you'll get it, though.
Yeah,
I promise.
Probably makes your car smell.
Yeah, what's happening there, though? Hold on, because Tony's making an allegation. I believe he has been that desperate. Look, I have come in so many times, and his ass crack is showing in the parking garage because he's in there rummaging.
I need a belt.
For something. He's rummaging. The number of mornings that the smile that greets me is his ass crack. There's fishing around in his car trying to get something.
It's that heater.
So he's been that desperate, he can't get it.
It's the sausage fingers, because when a fry drops or something drops right between the seat and the center console, and you're trying to get your hand in there, Dan, big hand guy. Yeah. You're there like trying to
the worst.
Like I can't get it out.
I have seen my dog for 6 hours try to get the peanut butter treat out of the rubber ball. That is Stugotz with that loose heater. Except he's never gotten it. You say the desperation hasn't been there. I've seen it. It smiles at me every morning.
I try every morning, you're right.
Dan Hurley is supposed to join us as part of the rain delay filler today. Stugotz is trying to get an assortment of other rain delay filler guests, and Dan Hurley is going to do an interview with us. What should I be asking him? Because that whole thing smelled funny.
Oh, I was going to say ask him about black women getting cancer from hair relaxer products, because I wonder if he cares about black women more than you do, Dan. Because when I try to bring it up and bring awareness, you try to send me to the penalty box. Both racist and sexist on your part.
No, you did bring it up. And I sent you afterward, after you had gone ahead and brought it to the attention of everybody. Not beforehand. Not when you tried to bring it up. You did bring it up in the middle of something else that we were doing.
And he brought it back up.
And I couldn't do anything with it. And so I just pushed you away so I could continue with my rain delay extravaganza instead of the dead fish you threw on my lap.
I'm sorry. I wanted robust discussion about how we can protect some of our most vulnerable populations in this country. I thought that was the kind of show that we did here. I guess I was wrong. We just talk about what Dan wants to talk about, which is the weather.
Yeah, Dan.
It rained a little. Cancer, rain. Mm-mm. You know what? I'm really afraid of rain. No, sir. Dan Le Batard, I challenge you to bring it up with Dan Hurley and see. And I think Coach Hurley will have a lot to say about it. You know why? Because he's got a heart.
All right. I'll let you do it when Hurley shows up. You can do it at the end.
No,
of the
we're not going to
interview.
do that. We're not going to do that.
Amin can bring it up if he wants to with Dan Hurley. That's not really helpful to what I was asking him. I thought I was going to.
What were you asking?
No, I don't want to talk to you.
What
anymore.
should he ask him?
No, just turn off his microphone. In fact, if you guys can do a graphic that just blows wind and rain on him and he goes and floats out to sea, I'd be fine with it. I was asking about the fishy situation around Dan Hurley that ends up with him getting a contract offer from the Lakers that seemed low. If you want, in today's coaching environment, to actually lure someone from the job that they had as a coveted free agent.
It seems
Totally
low.
above board.
Yeah, it seems
Turn
low.
his microphone
Thank
off,
you, I
please. Just
appreciate
get
it.
rid of him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It seems low. Let's keep in mind it's $70 million. That was the offer. But if you want Dan Hurley, to your point, back-to-back national championships at Connecticut, the reports out there are $100 million, north of $100 million. That might feel low to Dan Hurley. I'm with you. Like, hey, if you want me to move me and my family across the country to a place I'm not comfortable living, it's going to have to be more than $70 million. And he can ask for that because that's what he demands. That's what he commands.
Well, he turned it down.
Yep.
And he did it while negotiating with UConn. I mean, there's more to this, Stugotz, okay? And I don't know how interested people are in the business of some of these things because I don't know what happened here. But I've been telling you for a minute that it's interesting to me how the information guys get their information and what it is they do with that information. And if you've been watching, and a lot of people are interested in this, Woj and Shams are enemies. Shams learned at Woj's knee, and Woj has more power than I've ever seen a media person have over both ESPN and his sport in how he controls the trafficking of information. He is the most competitive person I have ever seen in this business, and the way that he does business is exerting a power over ESPN that has all of the basketball people there who are not perfectly aligned with him scared. Ramona Shelburne is part of what we're doing here with South Beach Sessions over the next couple of weeks. And you will have some access to seeing some of the things in basketball information that are interesting. And I bring that up as promotion on what it is that we're doing there because I want to talk about how information is accessed and what it is that I think just happened with Dan Hurley. We're going to do that next.
annoyed every time Dan Le Batard pontificates about the sports media industry? Well, too bad, He knows you don't give a damn about what he's gonna say. It's time for Sports Media Talk today.
This one's interesting. I'm promising you that people are interested in this one. I have seen what Ethan Strauss is doing with his Substack. Stugotz, people say that I live in an echo chamber, but I do like people who think differently than me and can execute, making me think a little bit. And Ethan Strauss at his Substack, he and I are not aligned on a lot of things. But one place where we are aligned is in finding fascinating what's happening with Woj and Shams, because these are the two most competitive monsters that I've ever seen. It's King Kong and Godzilla of the information business, and Shams learned it from his mentor, who's the most competitive person I've ever met in sports media, who has relationships with the executives, with the old guard in basketball, the people who have controlled all of the power in basketball. And his protege, who is 30 years old and is much different than him, traffics in the information from labor, from the players. And so there has been a fight at the top of the food chain. And Stugotz, I will tell you that Adrian Wojnarowski is one of the best writers I have ever seen. He doesn't do it anymore. He cannot. He is now in the information business, and it's been rough to watch one of the greatest sports writers I've ever seen condense to cubes of information as fast as you can, because that's where the money is these days, and that's where the power is these days.
That's where the interest is these days. I mean,
the money, the power, the interest, all of it. The information guys are valuable. But when I tell you that this is one of the great sports writers of my time, and I saw the way that Mike Lupica tried to bury any up-and-comers in that city, to see him rise to the level of power he has. And this is a man who's been a friend for a long time, although I've said some things recently that I don't think would have him calling me a friend anymore. My guess is that he's pretty mad at me because I didn't notice until after I'd left at ESPN how scared everybody in basketball was who worked there if they weren't totally aligned with the guy who was running the basketball business there. To see Shams on McAfee is such a fuck you from McAfee to Woj and the established infrastructure. No one is allowed on ESPN basketball stuff until Shams on McAfee that Woj isn't good with. To see his enemy in the middle of the workday on McAfee is hugely interesting to me. And then to see them this far apart on what the Lakers were doing and fighting at the top of the information food chain to produce an offer, a story around Hurley that I don't think any of us but Woj saw coming. Like, that was not something that people were talking about before Woj reported it. After Shams had reported, J.J. Redick is the front runner.
I mean, Dan Hurley has talked about going to the NBA, wanting to coach in the NBA, but I'm with you. No one saw this one coming, the Laker job coming. It is interesting with McAfee because he is doing that just to piss off Woj. And believe me, it pisses off Woj.
All right, let's welcome in. We'll talk more about this in a little bit. But the Hurley family is basketball royalty. Like, they really are. And Woj wrote the book on Dan's father who, like, conquered the Northeast teaching basketball correctly. It's kind of crazy, honestly, to see this family dominate this sport this way because they know how to coach fundamental basketball in a way that outsmarts everyone they're playing against.
Dan Hurley's dad is a legend.
It's
51
unbelievable.
Years at
and
St. Anthony's.
A better coach than Dan. Dan's the bum in the family. He's the bum in the family. He's underachieved with only a couple of championships. The bum joins us now. And this is what a bum he is, Stugotz. He could have been living in Malibu. Instead, he's coming from a luxurious all-day camp for high schoolers in Orlando, where it was 100 degrees yesterday.
He chose Stores over L.A.
Stores, Connecticut, over a home in Malibu coaching LeBron, one of the great idiots of our time, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Hurley with us.
Hey, Dan. Let's go, Danny. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Welcome, sir. I was confused by the last week. Congratulations on all your success. And it's certainly deserved for you to be the big free agent negotiating for Laker money. But what do you make of the last 10 days of your life?
Wild, man. I mean, just wild. I think, for me, just kind of like last week, beginning of the week, maybe Monday, you start to, have, conversation with your agent, about what your serious interest level would be in making such a move. So you really, the beginning of last week, you started really putting into my mind, was it something I would really put serious consideration into? And after thinking about it, like earlier in the week, it was something I wanted to explore. The opportunity to potentially coach the Lakers and to coach one of the greatest players of all time, and to coach another, one of the best, players in the NBA and AD, and to lead such a storied franchise, and to walk the sidelines, where some of the greatest to ever do it, Pat Riley and Phil Jackson. I mean, it was something in my mind that I had to explore and consider and see what it looked like.
Did you talk to LeBron?
I did not. We had some communication. One of my first games I ever coached in as a high school coach was against LeBron in Delaware, when he was at St. Mary's St. Vincent. His team came into that game with a 66-game winning streak, and it was my first year as a head coach. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. When the game ended, he had a 67-game winning streak, and so I shared the court with him once, and it would have been a thrill to coach him.
To be clear, though, Dan, the reason I asked the question is when Tom Izzo was considering this kind of job change to Cleveland, he couldn't get a hold of LeBron. He never spoke to him. The reason I asked the question is because it'd be hard for you to make that particular decision without knowing LeBron's totally on board with what it is you're doing.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I think he's obviously one of the greatest players, an incredible basketball mind. And, I know that he wants, he wants a great coach in that organization. I know that's important to him.
What a great recruiting pitch for you, though. You turned down Kentucky, you turned down LeBron, you turned down the Lakers. You tell the kids, I did it for you.
Well, that to me is one of the dumbest takes I've heard.
Well, thank you, Dan.
No, not you.
Right, right.
Stugotz,
Yeah.
I got a Stugotz on my team too. Here, I got the Jalen Stewart, and
my man.
I called him, Stu, and I got in trouble for Breanna Stewart. So now I call him Stugotz sometimes when he does some shit. But like one of the worst takes I've heard is like, this was a leverage play by me to improve my situation at UConn. Like, I don't need leverage here. We've won back-to-back national championships, at this place. And I'm not, this was never a leverage situation for me. I've had a contract in place here, for a couple of weeks, and the financial part in terms of salary has been done for a while. There's some other parts like NIL and staff salaries and some different things that I needed, that I want adjusted, that I'm not comfortable with. But the sense or the idea that this was some conspiracy to get me a sweeter deal at UConn is just, it's lazy and not, it was truly like a gut-wrenching decision for me, because I was really Sunday night going into Monday where I had a kind of a deadline in my mind. I was like torn, and I didn't know really what I was going to do until I went to bed.
What was the deadline in your mind? Why did you do that?
Well, we had practice with the players. We had a scheduled practice at 1:00 on Monday, and it obviously had become a circus. It was weighing on me and my wife and my two sons and my whole family, and then with the players and their families. I mean, that are here. Just the timing is terrible. It's June. Like, we already had completed like a week of practice together, and then this whole thing came up. I had a player that removed his name from the draft that very well could have stayed in the draft, that had come back to UConn to play for me, and to do one more year and to go for a three-peat. So, like, it would become too much of a circus. And if I had no deadline, I would have tortured myself over the decision for a longer period of time, because, the chance to coach the Lakers and LeBron and to an AD, and to work for Jeannie Buss and to work with Rob Pelinka was like, it was a hard thing to pass up.
Dan, I can't pretend to know you. I have read Woj's book on your father, and so I'm assuming from your body language, the way you're hiding in your hat on some of the praise that you're getting and some of the attention you're getting in the middle of the basketball finals, given how much you respect basketball from the crib. Are you embarrassed by what the last few days have been publicly?
Yeah, I think so, to a degree. Wow, you're really breaking me down here. For me, it's not been, my life has changed a lot in the last 22 months in terms of how I'm viewed, in sports, in basketball. For me, I've always been, not quite good enough, or the third, or the third wheel, or just pretty good. And obviously a lot has changed, for me in terms of success in basketball, and just didn't imagine, I guess just being in this position. It's not something that, was some plan I had, 25 years ago when I got into coaching, or 15 years ago when I was a high school coach driving I can't curse on you.
Yeah,
right?
you can.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I was driving a cheese bus, I was driving a mini cheese bus around going to high school games 15 years ago. Like, I didn't think I'd be choosing between coming back for a three-peat at UConn or turning down the Lakers. I didn't see it coming, man.
Well, but the reason I asked the question is because you're coach's son, and I feel off of you, I cannot know this, the sort of embarrassment of I'm not the story. Like, you guys understand, like, yes, I can have my ego and it's my leadership and my discipline, but you've been dominating the basketball story, when my guess is that if you were in some other position, you would want people talking about Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It took on just a crazy dynamic, and obviously it had, most of it had to do with just the Lakers, right? I mean, like anything Lakers with the NBA is going to be a huge story. I mean, they're talking about the Lakers nonstop. I mean, it's just, it's LA, it's the brand, it's the history, it's the media market, it's all those things. And I'm like a simple guy, man. I just, the least complicated part of my day and the best part of my day as a basketball coach is the time on the court, the practice time. I love the practice time. I love the purity of coaching. Probably in the end, a lot of people they talk shit about how bad college basketball is, with NIL and transfer portal, and I think a lot of that is just, I think it's a lot of it's excuses, and it's whiny. Like it's a privilege to be able to coach at this level, make the amount of money that we make, and then coach like 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and you could still like impact lives and coach at a high level. It's just being a college coach is incredible.
Dan, what did your wife want to do?
She got in, she was like crying in the beginning. I think initially that the first couple days of it, she got violently angry and emotional, like not like hitting me and stuff. Not like, get away from me. I don't want to consider this. You're torturing me with this incredible opportunity, you horrible human being. She was, she got emotional, like I can't believe you're bringing this. Our life is so great. It's perfect. Like our lives couldn't be better, and now you're bringing this shit. So she was bad in the beginning, but then she warmed up to it when we got out there, and she met Rob and she met Jeannie, and felt the weather, and we drove around Manhattan Beach and just met the people though mostly, and she saw the vision of it. She was into it, but then when we got back to Connecticut, without having made a decision, and we got back home, and we both flipped back.
Ambition has been something, I imagine, that could test any relationship, like the stuff, you know what I mean? So that when you're getting to a point, really, again, we got to move. We got settled. We're good here. We've arrived at the top of the mountain. This is success, right?
The nerve of Dan to bring his wife a $70 million offer.
No, that when you say it's gut wrenching, though, I get it from there, Dan. What are we choosing? Are we choosing family, or are we choosing what Dan wants all the time?
Yeah, and for me, I was a high school coach for 9 years, so I got a chance to, when my kids were young, I got a chance to, to get to Little League games and to get to CYO games. And like when my kids were in grade school, I was able to kind of be there for them before I went into the college, rat race. But I also, too, it's like, I'm still haunted by my playing career in a lot of ways, and just in terms of, how disappointed I am to this day in terms of how that went for me at Seton Hall. So now I do feel this enormous pressure in coaching to kind of make up for that in a way, and to achieve more greatly because of the disappointment that will kind of eat away at me whenever my playing days are brought up.
That one is rough. Like the tapestry of who it is that you've built to get to this moment to conquer. Like, what an interesting, fascinating decision for you to have to make. And I don't think that people would understand that the last 10 days haven't been entirely joyful to you, that you would arrive at all beyond your wildest dreams and you'd still be gut-wrenched because it's an embarrassment of riches, but people don't understand what it's like to be you.
I mean, too incredible. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to say it because people can roll their eyes, like real people that have real problems and real struggles and shit. So it's like, you sound like an idiot, but it's absolutely true. Like you have two incredible opportunities, and it's like it tears you up inside. I mean, from when we got on from when we landed and started spending time with Rob and Jeannie, and spend time around the facility, and then knowing what you'd be leaving at UCONN, and trying to imagine walking into the locker room and telling your team I'm not with you guys anymore, because the beautiful thing that is still there for us in college that at UCONN that the NIL and the portal hasn't destroyed is we have a real beautiful connection here, still in college. There's a feeling of connection, brotherhood. There's real true emotion and feelings for each other here because of the way that our program functions. That in the end, it's probably a deciding factor is your desire to continue to be a part of that, and not knowing that necessarily is something that you could be a part of in the professional ranks.
Were there any good parts of the last 10 days? Because I got to be honest, you're making it seem like a misery. Lakers courted you.
I'm making it seem like that. Let's be fair to him, because I am putting him in a bad spot talking about the difficulties of this. But I am surprised by some of the human answers that he's given, because I think I think people think these guys are ambition monsters, and they are, but they also have loved ones, and you're uprooting a life that is really good right now. Is there an amount of money, Dan? Is there an amount of money that they could have offered that would have changed the decision?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think coach talk is dead. I think nobody wants to hear coach talk anymore, right? I think that's over with. So yeah, I think I mean, to leave, there probably is, to leave a place at any moment in your life. I think that, like, to say that it's not a motivating factor, the finances to leave a place is definitely a thing. To stay at a place, I don't think it's ever going to be a thing. Like to stay somewhere like UConn, it would never have been, I think, a financial thing. Like, again, this wasn't like some like pressure tactic to make me the highest paid college coach. Like that shit was already done. But to leave a place, that you feel the way we do, and the family connection with my wife, my sons, my mother-in-law, my brother, my father, who, like, I know how much it means to my dad to go to the Big East tournament and to come to, 10 UConn games a year at home, and sitting courtside when I'm coaching against Rick Pitino. Like, I mean, yeah, to leave all that behind, there probably is a number. I don't know what that is.
Was the name Bronny ever brought up at any point?
On TV a lot.
That's a good answer.
What? I love Bronny. When I watched him in high school, I love Bronny. I think, we have kind of a unique style of the way we play offense here at UConn. I think it's, our tactics and strategies, I think, are a little bit more unique. And I think it has a lot to do with my background, the high school coach, and then my upbringing with my father. And, what's weird is, like, he would have been incredible in our system with the way that we play basketball. Because he's so athletic, he defends, but then he's like such a smart player. And, he could shoot, he could pass, he's got a great feel. He could play a couple different guard spots. I really like Bronny, but he was not specifically, part of any particular conversation that I did not see on television.
Can you tell me whether you got a firm answer with conviction on whether it was known that you would indeed be coaching LeBron James next year?
Oh, man. I've been so honest the whole way, too. Now I'm going to start.
Well, now you have to tell the truth.
Yeah, I think, I can't answer. There was no definitive. I think anyone that's going to take that position there is anticipating you're going to get a chance to coach, one of the top 2 or 3 players of all time.
I
really put you in a bad spot there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because
I'm trying to play it cool here.
No, you're not playing it cool. You called him a liar. He's trying.
I did not do that.
He's comfortable and he is being super honest. And that question, the reason I ask it is because Tom Izzo couldn't get a hold of LeBron. The power has changed in that sport, and I don't know if you can get 100% answer on that. The job has to be independent of LeBron because he's a free agent. He can leave.
Yeah, I just think the exciting thing about coaching LeBron is in your mind, or any of these great players in the NBA. Like, if you show up with incredible work ethic, and you have like an incredible level of expertise of all aspects of the art of coaching, and then if you're like authentic, honest, and a strong leader, you're going to get the respect. Whether you played in the NBA, whether you've coached in the NBA, there's obvious adjustments that you'd have to make to do it. But, just great players like that, like all-time great players, they just want those things in the coach that's leading the organization.
I appreciate, Dan, your way. Obviously, the work speaks for itself. The results speak for themselves. But the way that you represent the entirety of this sport is worthy of admiration. I will get you out on this note. I just want quick answers from you on who voted which way. Dad, which way did he vote? What was Dad leaning? Was he saying Lakers or UConn?
Big East tournament, I mean.
UConn.
Mother-in-law. I'm sorry?
he did give his blessing to go out there with an open mind because it was too good of an opportunity. But he was UConn.
Mother-in-law.
Easy one. UConn.
And wife at the end?
UConn.
Yeah, you were outnumbered. You were outnumbered. Yeah,
but there was a number.
Yeah, there was a number. Yeah, we need to get the family on. What was the number? Because I'm not sure there was a number. He was outnumbered. He thinks there was a number. There wasn't a number. There was not a number.
I was done. I mean, it didn't matter what I wanted.
Last thing, because Stugotz desperately wants to talk Billy Joel with you.
Yeah. I do. I want to guess your top 5 Billy Joel songs of all time. I want to guess what yours would be. Can I do that?
Yeah. Obviously, New York State of Mind. Anytime that we go in for the Big East tournament or we go play at MSG, we blast that on the bus, custom bus when we lose. And the players like, who the hell is this, right? That's not the version they like. They like the Jay-Z.
Dan, I had that at number 2, by the way. I guessed your top 5, and I had it at number 2. Do you want to hear the rest of your top 5, and you tell me if I'm right?
Yeah, go.
Okay, number 5, My Life. That's in it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not a piano guy. You're not going to do that. Piano Man, Captain Jack. You're not going to do that. That's too easy. Everyone has that in their top 5. So I'm going to go number 4, Only the Good Die Young.
Only the Good Die Young, yeah.
I know this guy. Number 3, Big Shot.
Yeah.
He's being polite there. Number 2.
I like some girly. I like some of the, I don't want to say like, I don't know if they're like more of a
Scenes from an Italian restaurant.
Just careful.
Yeah.
Careful, Dan.
I like that. It's just long. It's
Right.
just a long song.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
a long song.
You don't have time for that.
Dan, good talking to you. Congratulations. It really has been a wonder to watch your work, sir, and I'm happy for your success.
It was great being on with you guys, man. Love the show. You guys are you're awesome in the Stan Van. I've listened to that multiple times, man. It's like one of the best things I've ever heard. And I love you guys. I love the Van Gundys.
Thank you, Dan, for making the time for us. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dan.
Later.
we've been doing some joking around today, but we really do have to get out of here. Like there are dangerous things coming this way, and we should not be here today. And the bans are coming, and the flooding is coming, and we will be getting out of here. Some of you might be disappointed that you will not be getting the full range of show today because we're going to have a mystery crate segment, or we're going to have South Beach session, something that we have to do to replace an hour because we do really have to get out of here. I thought the Hurley conversation was super interesting, Stugotz, and sort of takes you inside of what was really happening with a human being inside of there, which is you got to go listen to the Lakers. You got to go. You have to. You have to go listen to them, but it doesn't mean that you're not going there sort of kicking and screaming, even though people can't imagine $70 million. But he also told you there was a number. And so the Lakers, what can be said here is whatever it is the Lakers were offering the free agent, they didn't have enough. They weren't offering enough to actually get him.
I can't imagine the Lakers not having enough money. They didn't offer enough money for whatever reason, you know?
Okay, I'm not, again, I've said it's a mom and pop business. I don't know how much money they do actually have. I don't know their finances. I know that the Buss family has made a mess of some of that stuff infighting over their father's fortune. And if you read anything about the Lakers, you will see a really messy financial situation and 12 years where they've only been more than a 7 seed one time in the last 12 years. So they're in a desperate spot to keep the post-Kobe, post-LeBron thing alive, but they didn't have enough to get the coach who just told you there was a number.
And that guy already has a lot. He makes a lot of money. He's at UConn. He's at a place where he's comfortable, where his family wants to be, where they love to be. And you have to factor all of that into the equation, Dan. He's won back-to-back national championships at a time where you have Nick Saban sprinting away from college sports and other coaches going elsewhere. This guy has figured it out. He's great. He's the best in the game right now. And perhaps he was thinking, hey, I'm the king of UConn, of Storrs, Connecticut. Everyone bows to me. You go to the NBA, and that changes in a heartbeat. And suddenly, you're not the guy in control. It's LeBron James who's in control.
Jessica, Lucy, what did you guys think was most interesting about what it is that Dan Hurley just had to say there?
I don't like the girly Billy Joel songs either.
That part was so awkward.
He didn't know what to do.
He got caught up in the air, a little too comfortable.
What did he mean? But by the way, I'm not a Billy Joel guy.
Vienna.
Jeremy, do you have any ideas?
I think he was saying I like the girly songs, but then he was like, I don't want to say girly, more feminine. Like he likes the girly songs.
He meant Vienna.
Where'd you come from?
100%.
Yeah.
I've been here all day, Dan. I've just been sitting and waiting for you to mention the fact that I was on the Zoom as well.
You couldn't get in here today either? You couldn't get in it? What happened? Flooding got you too?
Yeah, flooding. It's a nightmare here. I was worried about being able to get back to the Fort Lauderdale area after the bands that are playing behind your head in the studio come through and make it inevitably flooded. So after driving through all of it yesterday when we were on our search for Panthers fans, I decided today would be a day to stay home.
Okay, so I do before we do get out of here in a panic, I did want to talk to Chris and Roy about some I did want to talk some Panther hockey before we got out of here. But
the biggest game in Panthers history.
Yeah, but I want Lucy and Jessica to give me reaction to Dan Hurley hasn't spoken before that, and he said some things that I was surprised by, and I'm just wondering how you guys experienced that, Lucy.
Well, I wish we would have talked to him about all the Batman stuff he had in the background. I couldn't stop looking at it. His hat was so cool. It was interesting to hear his perspective, especially as like a big college sports fan. It's nice to kind of see the big names stay in college sports, but I kind of wish we would have asked him some more fun stuff. He's got a great personality.
Yeah, so I screwed up is the bottom
Well,
line.
I didn't say that. I implied it.
No, you said it.
If
you're saying I wish we would have asked him some more fun stuff, you're saying it wasn't fun enough.
I didn't say it wasn't fun. I said I just wish you would have asked more.
Can we call him back? Can we find out about that? Can we find out about the Batman information? The Batman.
Exclusive
Oh my God,
interview
his hat was so cool.
Yeah, very cool.
By the way, I should have said this to him. I don't I'm just going to be a coward, but this last week has been awesome for him. Like, come on. Like, he's been acting like what a struggle the last week has been for him.
I did.
I
8
forced
minutes after he's gone.
I forced him into that position. I was like, he did say it was gut wrenching. You don't believe it was gut wrenching?
I believe that the decision was hard, but it's all good decisions. It's like, wow, this freaking awesome thing over here, or I get double the salary at UConn. Like, these are great problems to have.
Listen, he turned down $70 million. That's a great problem to have. Seriously.
Okay, but once you
that has to feel good on its own.
This is absolutely true, but I'm always interested in how and where it is you guys disconnect from these people being human beings when the money is involved. Chris Cody, if you right now had some sort of great offer to work in New York for Stephen A. Smith for more money, and now you have to leave your grandfather and you have to go and leave all the things you've known in your life, but it's a little more money or it's a great gig, you don't think you'd struggle with that? And
No,
your family doesn't, and your family doesn't want to leave.
You just made it real for me, and I would. I'm already sweating thinking about my wife. Like, she's not going to want to take her. My daughter has friends at school.
Right.
I get it now.
Dan has a way of doing that, right?
But the money, I understand why it is people think that the millionaires aren't human beings, but if your wife doesn't want to leave, he called her violently emotional and then had to walk that back.
No, I'm just saying it must be a good feeling where you have such a good job and you love your job so much that you turn down a $70 million offer. That has to feel good. That's crazy.
Dan, you're literally describing the exact situation I was in. I had a great life in LA. I had so many friends, people who loved me. And then I moved to Miami. And guess what? I can't walk outside because I'm going to drown.
What's happening outside your house right now? Did you get a lot of, outside your apartment, did you get a lot of wind and bad weather last
like
night
a beautiful day.
that leaked into your apartment? Because it looks pretty great right now. You look like you live in paradise right now.
It's so expensive. It's not paradise. It's cost me everything, literally everything. Yesterday when I was driving, I did like the most illegal thing I maybe have ever done when I was driving. There was like, they dropped like the guards for the railroad track because it was raining so bad, and they were like, they didn't want people to drive. And that's the only way I could get to my apartment. So I had to drive through those.
Wow, the Panthers
You're
also
a
had
real
to do it.
Miamian. You're a real Miamian. You crossed the train tracks when you weren't supposed to.
I did not like the feeling of it. Also, I have to say, I'm a little angry with my dad right now because I texted him yesterday. I said, oh my God, the roads are so bad. I've never seen flooding like this in my life. And he doesn't respond, Lucy, are you okay? How are you doing? He responds, man, this is going to be really bad for insurance. That's not the priority right now.
Well, the Panthers
I am the priority.
All right, let's stop.
I want to hear the rest of this transition.
Let's stop for just a second, okay? Because I do want to show people behind the curtain here. There is no one in the history of our show, and he leads by leaps and bounds over everyone else, who is more careful about not talking when others are talking than Roy. He schleps in here today. He hasn't said anything all show because there's a lot of fire coming from every direction. Amin did God knows what when he was here, and Roy has tried to speak twice during this segment, and the reason people can't do the show on remote is because they just trampled Roy twice.
And what Roy is trying to talk about is something he cares about more than anyone on this show or just about anything in his life.
It's too bad today's show was canceled, that there was no show today to talk about all of the amazing things that happened in sports yesterday and are happening this week.
See, there you go.
Let the man speak.
God damn it, man. Come on. The transition was going to be the Panthers are dealing with the same thing. They barely made it out of Fort Lauderdale yesterday when they tried to fly to Edmonton.
I honestly think this could have an effect on this series because they were delayed. They didn't leave till yesterday. I don't know how I feel about that decision. They could have left early on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like after the game. But I guess Maurice wanted to let them sleep in after the game night. This is an interesting call because they got delayed yesterday. They didn't get in until like 9 last night with the time change. Like, you could see a sluggish Panthers team tonight, and the travel could be the reason for it.
Clearly, they delayed this flight because of the ball carve injury. I mean, it seems pretty clear to me.
Why?
Because he might have a concussion, he might have a broken
But he
jaw
practiced,
at the
right?
time. But he did practice
And
yesterday.
he's playing, I think, right?
Yeah, yes, I believe he's going to end up playing because he's wearing his normal jersey during practice. He seems like a game time decision, according to Paul Maurice yesterday.
But Maurice said that they have, like, a whole team of people that do the math on, like going into different time zones, how much sleep you need. Like, there's a whole, I hate people that are just like, I know it all. Know-it-alls when it comes to
But
like
the math on what?
how to
Barkov's your
beat-
best player. Play him if he's available.
I don't like
Who
people that
cares?
are know-it-alls with how to beat time changes.
Right.
It's like, oh, you got to eat right before the flight. Like, shut up, all right? I have my own.
It's actually
recipe.
don't eat before the flight, and then when you land,
There
actually
you go.
start working out to get your body back in rhythm, circadian rhythms and whatnot.
There you go. That's what I hate.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
hate.
He's right about that
Circadian
circadian
rhythm.
thing.
He's
Yeah.
right.
Whatever that means. Roy, do you want them to win the cup in Edmonton, or would you prefer them to win it at home?
I would prefer them to win at home, so I have to go to Edmonton.
No, but Roy,
I know.
can we talk about
Why
your
I
plans?
asked, yeah.
Yes.
If the Panthers win tonight, Roy's hopping on a bird and will be in Edmonton for Game 4.
Wow.
If they lose tonight and they can't clinch in Game 4, he's staying and we'll go to Game 6 if that's a thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I'm looking at flights right now, and they are ranging between 1,800 and 3,500.
Good thing
So-
Dan's paying for it. I mean, you're good.
yeah.
So you're rooting for the Panthers to lose tonight, essentially.
After 30 years of watching this team
I'm sorry.
and back-to-back Stanley Cup finals,
Right.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but yes, I'm
No,
rooting
see,
for them
Roy,
to
you
lose.
stop it right there. As much as I would love, in theory, a split, you get a chance to win it on your home ice in Game 5. That's terrifying, okay? We got to win every game.
Right.
If it ends up with a split, fine. But we need to be rooting for a win in Game 4.
If they go up 3-0 and Roy goes all the way to Edmonton and they lose that
Oh,
game
that'd be the
4,
best.
That is worst case scenario, man.
But the
Because
scenario we're all rooting for.
no, you're rooting for this, but I can't go back for Game 6. That's not in the budget. Burn the boats.
I would save it for Game 6. I would save your
That's what
trip
I'm
for
doing.
Game 6.
There's no guarantee that there's going to be a Game
You don't
6.
have to be there.
I do have to be there. I'm going to end up on the ice with these people winning the Stanley Cup. I have to be there for that. What do you mean?
You just want to be there for that.
No, I'm actually doing work. This is actually for content.
If the cup is in the building, Roy has to be there. I'm sorry. If the cup is in the building, Roy Bellamy is in the building. But Roy, be careful. I've been tracking the flights in and out of Fort Lauderdale
Crazy.
and Miami International
Yes.
airports. The delays right now are beginning to mount. Inbound aircrafts delayed an average of 3 hours and 48 minutes at the moment. And your inbound aircraft delay may cause outbound aircraft delays. So be careful and be vigilant, Roy. Do not spend $800 on a non-refundable ticket unless
Right.
Dan Le Batard is the one refunding
She's
you.
right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even if I show up late in the third period and the cup's already on the ice, I'm going to be there.
This is the most confident version of Roy Bellamy I've seen in 20 years of knowing Roy. Are you confident headed into tonight?
Let's get that cup, Roy.
Come on, Roy. Tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, every time he says, yeah, they win.
That's right. It's time for Thursday Thunder. We got to do it quick because we got to get to Adnan and Samson. Thursday Thunder is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned.
And also, we got to do it quick because the gambling giant is breathing on our neck, making us come in here and do this segment in the rain.
And learn about everything that DraftKings has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Tony, Thursday Thunder, quick.
Juju, as always, putting together very carefully crafted the Artesian single game parlayster. We've got Connor McDavid over 3.5 shots on goal tonight for the Oilers. We've got Matthew Tkachuk over 2.5 shots on goal tonight for your Florida Panthers. And we've got the Mercury Kalea Copper over 21.5 points. That is your Thursday Thunder. That was real Thunder, actually. That wasn't even the bet.
Yeah, we've got a problem here. Stugotz has left. He's fled because we have to get out of here. It is actually dangerous here with all of the flooding and the flash flooding and the state of emergency in Florida. But the gambling giant has told us that we have to do that Thursday Thunder. And so both Tony and Roy are telling you that there are going to be shots in this game because Tkachuk hasn't been a factor here in this series in a way that's any kind of special yet.
That's right, Dan. It is clutch time. Expect to see some shots from Matthew Tkachuk in this one.
Well, for sure, expect to see them from McDavid.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Over 3.5. Yeah, he might get 6 tonight.
I mean, if it's under 3.5 for him, what a pathetic way for their season to go out just strangled to death by the Panthers.
Yeah, just a whimper. Oh boy, I can't wait to see that cup on that ice.
You better settle down. We just got to get home safe first. And it would be perfect, though, that upon winning the cup, South Florida, all of it is underwater.
Priorities.
Just completely, totally underwater. In celebration of the Ice Cats, we have water everywhere. Adnan and David Samson are with us now to do their movie segment. Top 5 movies of all time that have great food scenes in them, or I guess top 5 food scenes in the movies is the way to say that if you're not scared of the typhoons outside and need to get out of here because you're afraid of storm making Meadowlark wash away.
I don't want to spoil their list, but if the food fight scene in Hook isn't in this, 100%. I am going to fight somebody.
Hold on a second.
Wow.
I mean, hold on a second. Aggressive, and Adnan is changing his list because it's always he's always interested in making his list more popular.
No, I simply was jotting down, Dan, that may be an omission, but I said, okay, that might get the mind flowing in a different direction. But I don't want to piss off Cody, but he's not going to be happy with that list if that's what he's insisting upon.
I have an omission as well that I just thought of, and I'm despondent. The food fight in Animal House is not on my list.
Yeah. All right. So again, though, Animal House is a 1978 movie. This segment is struggling to stay somewhere in the 2000s. Go ahead. And whose list are we going to first, Samson or Adnan's? How do you want to do this?
David, will go ahead.
Number 5. It is a movie from the 70s, but it's a line you all use from 5 Easy Pieces. When Jack Nicholson wants toast, the waitress says there is no toast, so he orders a chicken salad sandwich. Hold the lettuce, hold the butter, hold the chicken, and he gets served his toast. I use that every day, much to the chagrin of my fellow diners.
That's a great movie and a great scene. Early Jack Nicholson, pre-Cuckoo's Nest. I love that movie. I'd love to crush Samson, but Dan, that's a great pick and a hell of a scene.
Okay, but he said all of us use this, and none of us do. None of us still use this phrase.
I don't think anybody gets that reference. When Samson does that in a restaurant, no one understands. Oh, that's from 5 Easy Pieces.
Okay.
I just want to get what I want. I don't need it. I don't need anyone to know what movie it's from, but don't tell me you don't have toast, or don't tell me you don't have an item that I know every kitchen has.
True.
And it's part of a different item on the menu, but people are so stuffy that they won't do it. So I'll say, give me that item and I'm happy to pay for it, but take all of it off. And I end up getting what I want.
Number 4.
LA Story. For those of you who love Los Angeles, which I know Meadowlark does, there's a movie that you have to see with Steve Martin about Los Angeles. And there's a scene where I picture Le Batard at lunch with all of his highfalutin climate change friends. And they're sitting around ordering coffee. And Le Batard is sitting there with his fantastic, beautiful wife, who I adore, Valerie, saying, I'll have coffee with a twist, lemon with a twist, another twist. It is a perfect LA movie. If you're going to move to LA or you love LA, Randy Newman, watch LA Story.
All the half calf, double decaf with a twist of lemon. All the twist of lemon. All the twist of lemon.
I'll have a twist of lemon.
Also, the first scene with a hot dog is fantastic. There's more than one great food scene in LA Story. I love that movie.
You guys are agreeing too much. Number 3.
I hesitate to put this on my list, but Goodfellas is number 3 when
Yes.
Paul Sorvino. I hate doing this for Adnan, but when Paul Sorvino is cooking and chopping up food in a prison cell, I remember my visceral reaction to it as anger because I didn't want anyone to think that being in prison was in any way good at all. But he was allowed to cook a meal. It's a great scene.
Hey, Vinny, don't use too many onions. By the way, Vinny is Scorsese's dad in that movie. So great.
You guys sound like real pals here, like soulmates, like stepbrothers. Number 2.
The rain is
world
bringing
is
us together.
ending, Dan.
Yeah.
When you're seeking a friend for the end of the world, you can end up with Adnan.
All right. Number 2.
That's a movie reference, Le Batard. You totally missed it. Number 2, Pulp Fiction. Several choices in this movie. You could go with the $5 shake, which was one of the great scenes that we talked about last week, or you could go with the famous Royale with cheese when he's eating the burger and it's the Big Kahuna burger. That's what's in my head, and that is a great scene. Number 2.
Can't quibble with Pulp Fiction. What's number 1?
Number 1 is the scene that everybody, maybe nobody in the room knows, but hi, my name is David, born in 1968, and I'll wear it. 9.5 weeks is the movie with Mickey Rourke pre-plastic surgery, with Kim Basinger pre-Alec Baldwin, and you want the sexiest scene that's not found on Channel J with Robin Bird, you go to 9.5 weeks and you see strawberries in a way that will make you realize whether you are who you are.
All right, it's pornographic, and it's also
not.
it's pornographic from 50 years ago. From 50 goddamn years ago.
Weather's getting bad. We got to speed this segment up.
Yeah, I know. Yes, it's leaking in here. There's water coming into the studio. I can feel it. We do have to get out of here, but we had to stop momentarily to do a segment about movies from 50 years ago. Sex scenes from 50 years ago. A teenage David aroused for the first time watching 9.5 weeks and the idea that people can have sex with food.
Now we know when he first got a boner, Dan.
It's unbelievable. That's what we had to come in here for today. Adnan, what's your top 5? You agreed way too much. Number 5.
Okay, number 5, we're going to go a little bit older. Lady and the Tramp eating spaghetti together. I mean, that is an unbelievable scene. How about an animated movie bringing together all of us? Who has
We
not
are fired.
No, who hasn't had a plate of spaghetti and tried to mimic that scene? All right.
Number 4.
4, The Great Outdoors. Cody, you want a comedy? How about John Candy, the old 96er? Whenever I think of someone getting meat sweats, I think of John Candy and The Great Outdoors. That's a great movie, Le Batard. Number 4
Roy
is
is really happy about that.
Oh, that's great.
Number 3.
Number 3, Old Boy. A little more reference, a little more contemporary here. This guy gets fed dumplings for 15 years and eats a live octopus. It's an incredible scene. Jarring, brilliant. Old Boy, number 3.
Number 2.
You're going to be pissed, Dan, with the ageist, but I got to be honest. Cool Hand Luke. Paul Newman eating 50 eggs in an hour? That is an unbelievable scene. I don't give a damn what year it came out from. Paul Newman, 50 eggs in an hour. Awesome.
That is pretty good. Number
If
1.
you're going to do an egg, Adnan, I thought you'd do Rocky eating raw eggs.
Yeah, that's also a good option. Number 1, it's the greatest food movie ever. Stanley Tucci, Tony Shalhoub, Big Night. The scene where they're making the timpano and they bring it out and Ian Holm eats it. He goes, I could kill you. I could kill you. That's how good the food is. Big Night, a mouth-watering feast for the senses.
Beverly Hills Cop. Beverly Hills Cop, the shrimp shot salad sandwich, the banana in the tailpipe, the buffet at the Harold's Club.
At the Harold Club, that's right.
And they had a coffee with a lemon twist. A lemon twist, which was you mentioned earlier.
All the twist of lemon.
Oh, my
That's
God.
a great call, Roy. It looks like your head's not in Edmonton after all. That was great.
Roy hates that you guys excluded that. Thank you, David. Thank you, Adnan.
Getting bad in here.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. I will remind the audience, Nothing Personal is what you should check out if you want some great stuff inside and outside of sports business. Also, he's got the sporting class coming out tomorrow with John Skipper and Pablo Torre and Adnan Virk, cinephile. You want to find that you learn more about movies, that's the place to do it. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time, as always. We do have to get out of here because it's obviously,
Bring in the grounds crew.
Yeah, it's getting bad
Oh
in
my
here.
God.
It is too bad that today we couldn't have time to discuss what a great night it was in Boston sports. It's unfortunate that the
Dan
show
Luca,
ends
I
this
can't
way.
believe it.
I would have loved to celebrate Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame and one of the great nights in Boston sports history, but unfortunately we have too much rain here and we are out of time, and I got to get home because it is genuinely flooding around here. I'm sorry, America.